Hello, this is Chloe.
Hi, this is Harper.
This is the second period broadcasting class, Tides of Triumph.
This podcast will cover how the students and staff feel about Southampton sports. You will also get to know the behind the scenes of our athletic department.
In this podcast, we'll follow and talk about the games, players, and any other sports-related events.
This winter season, we'll talk about boys and girls basketball, wrestling, and varsity track. How they perform. To find games, just go to our school Instagram and at Southampton Athletics 41968.
In our first podcast, we'll interview Dr. Zahn about his journey through athletics and some of his takes on Southampton sports. And remember,
Ride the tide!
We are here with Dr. Zahn, the principal here at Southampton. He's been at the high school since 2012 and has seen a lot of Southampton sports success. He's seen countless all-county, all-Long Island, and all-state athletes here at Southampton and has been present for the girls' golf team, field hockey, boys cross-country, boys soccer, boys and girls basketball, and baseball county championship teams. He's even witnessed the boys soccer team, girls basketball team, the field hockey team, and boys basketball team 5 times, all win Long Island titles. Welcome to our first podcast, Dr. Zahn.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's certainly an honor to be the first guest on this podcast, so thank you.
So, Dr. Zahn, what's your favorite high school sport to watch?
Oh man, I just enjoy watching sports in general, but here in Southampton, definitely there's a lot of fire in the boys basketball games when you're there. Certainly those are really fun to watch. But there are so many sports. I just love sports in general, so just watching them is really entertaining to me. But certainly here in Southampton, like I said, the boys basketball team has been really, really great. I'm a big fan of wrestling too, so I've had the opportunity to watch those individual matches, and again, very, very exciting for our winter sports. In the fall, of course, I always love watching football when we have it here. Certainly, I've really developed a passion for watching some of the soccer games as well. And in springtime, there's nothing better than watching baseball or softball. So, again, anytime that we have students out on the field is always a great thing to watch.
And I know you said you like to watch a lot of sports, but is there any specific professional or college?
Absolutely. My 2 favorite sports in general to watch are certainly football and baseball. I'm a big New York Jets fan and a big New York Yankees fan. So certainly not only watching on TV, but grew up going to and still do to many of the games, not only here locally, but love to travel to some of the stadiums and see the games, but definitely a big, big diehard New York Jets fan, as painful as that is, and certainly a diehard Yankee fan.
So did you play any sports in high school?
So I did play sports in high school. I played 3 season sports when I was able to before an injury, which I guess we'll talk about in a little bit. But I played football in the fall, I wrestled in the winter, and then I did play some lacrosse and baseball in the spring as well.
I play lacrosse myself, and it's an interesting sport to play.
Absolutely. Definitely you have to have a passion for running and moving in that sport. It is exhausting. I played, when I was playing lacrosse, I was I went between a midi and attack. And I have to tell you, if you do not enjoy running, that is not the sport for you.
So this kind of feeds into maybe that injury you were talking about, but what was your toughest opponent in sports? It could be a sports team or this injury that you had.
Yeah, so when I grew up, I went to Sachem. Back when I was in high school and my high school years were 1992 to 1996. And during that time, Sachem was still one high school, and it was tremendous. So there were 1,600 of us in a grade level. Yes, in one grade level, 1,600 students, large school sports. So we were always competing against other large schools. But in Sachem, our number one rival was Connecticut. So certainly anytime we played Connecticut back in the day, it was big time, big crowds, very intense. No matter what the season or the sport was, it was definitely something like, if for, just to make an analogy here, if you're watching a Yankee game, it's like when the Yankees in Boston plays, right? Or for the Jets, if you're playing New England, or the Giant fans out there, if you're playing Dallas, everyone's going to watch, everyone's going to know about it. So Connecticut, I think, was always, even when we had down seasons, it didn't matter on either side, Sachem or Connecticut. If those two teams played, the town was coming out, and it was going to be pure excitement.
Nice. So, in terms of like winter sports, are you excited for any particular one?
Oh, absolutely. I spoke a little bit about boys basketball. You know, they're always going to be in the mix, and certainly carrying on the great tradition that we've had here. But look at the girls last year. I mean, the girls started making some noise, and certainly I think the girls basketball team has some potential too. But I'll tell you the one team that I'm really excited about this year, and one that I think doesn't necessarily get enough attention here, is the boys wrestling team. This is the first time I feel like where we've seen this development over the past couple of years of a core team that you really have. And the boys working hard all throughout the school year, not just during the winter. And certainly you saw some development from some of our players that over the years that I'm really excited to see some of the matches this year for them. So definitely I have to give a shout out to the boys wrestling team, because I feel like they have some momentum going this year as well. So looking forward to, again, those teams.
So, is there any reason in particular that you started playing sports? Like, was it like that you wanted to find something, like a friend of yours was doing a sport or anything like that?
Yeah. So growing up, my parents were definitely, and my father in particular, was an athlete. He was captain on the football team. You wouldn't think about this or know it by looking at me, but my father played center, so he was a big dude. A big guy, tough, and played center for the team, was a captain for the team, and he just bled football and particularly baseball as well. So growing up, there was just no choice. We were a sports family. So from as long as I can remember, my parents had me playing youth sports, from T-ball up, whether it was baseball there or on the football field at 6 years old, 7 years old back then. So we always kind of were a sports family, and that carried through for me into Little League, into middle school, and then into high school.
So, Dr. Zahn, do you have a favorite athlete currently, and maybe when you were growing up, did you have one?
Oh, absolutely. Growing up when I was really, really young, of course, I grew up as a Jet fan, which was, again, painful. There was some real good highlight moments. I grew up with the Sack Exchange, which had players like Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, all of those guys. And they were tough, they were ferocious, and certainly, developed my passion even more for football. And that was when I was really young. But when I moved into my high school years and really started developing my own passion for my own players and teams, I mean, I grew up with, from the New York Yankees, Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly, who was someone that I really looked up to. But my biggest and still number one athlete, and I was so fortunate and so blessed to be able to grow up watching him, was Derek Jeter. As a kid, just to have Derek Jeter be on the run that he was on from when he started in the mid-'90s to his first World Series in '96, and to have him and to watch him serve as Captain Clutch during all those years alongside Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, and all those guys, it was awesome. So Derek Jeter was certainly, I think, and still holds a place that's so near and dear to my heart. And I was just so fortunate to be able to not only watch him on the screen, but to be at so many games at Yankee Stadium, the original Yankee Stadium, and the new Yankee Stadium, and to watch him play. It was just, that was something that was really, really special for people of my generation, especially Yankee fans of my generation.
So, if you could play with or even coach any athlete from like any point in time, who would it be?
Oof, that's tough. And I'll tell you what, if I don't know if they'd want me to coach them, because I think some of these guys were certainly, did well enough. I mean, you look at, like I said, growing up, haven't spoken about basketball, but just growing up and watching Michael Jordan was something that was incredible. Watching Wayne Gretzky hockey, or Mark Messier when he came to the Rangers, and watching Messier play was just incredible. So I don't know if any of those guys need coaching by me, but I would certainly love to play alongside of them if I had the opportunity to.
Cool. Like, if you could take one lesson from sports that you've had throughout your whole life, what would you think you could apply to your life?
I think there's a lot of great lessons that you can learn from sports. And I think when people look at me, right? I'm 5'7", I'm not a big guy. But at the same time, I heard growing up many times that you can't play football, you can't do this because of your size, and that resonated with me. And I was never going to let any of that stand in my way, because the one thing about sports is if you put the effort in and you put the time and the commitment in, you're going to get the job done. So if you believe in yourself, you will be able to accomplish anything. And I saw that with athletics. Again, when I served on the football field, and whether I was playing cornerback, I played some linebacker, I played some defensive end, and being one of the smallest guys on the team, I had one mission, and that was to make a statement. So I always started off the season with trying to go after some of the biggest guys on there, on that team, and make some tackles on the biggest guys, just to show people that don't take a look at my size. Take a look at the player who I am. And I think that message I carried with me throughout my entire life in terms of what I was able to accomplish. And it just showed me, and I learned if there was something that I want and I was committed to it and I put the time and put the effort into it, I knew I was going to get the job done. And I think everyone can learn that, especially from sports, that if you believe in yourself, you will get it done and you will accomplish it as long as you put that effort in. And I carry that message with me all the time, still to this day.
Yeah, that's definitely a message that everybody should tell themselves every so often. For me, it's instead of being sports related, it's music related.
Music, absolutely. It's the same type concept. I see that with my kids as well, who also play music, and there's a lot of practice time that goes into it. But with all of that time and effort into practice, they're seeing great things happen to them in terms of their ability to access honor bands and all of those festivals. And that's because of the belief in themselves and the effort that they put in to accomplish their goals.
So, if there's a sport that you don't know how to play now, but you could learn it, what would that be?
I would probably say it's hockey, ice hockey. Definitely. It's another fast-paced sport. You have to have incredible coordination for it in terms of being able to skate and play at the same time. And I wish that's a sport that I was able to play. So certainly I love watching hockey too, especially during the playoffs. It has some of the best playoffs, most exciting playoff games you'll see is in hockey. And that's a sport that I never really played and just wish I could.
Yeah, that would be my answer too, because my family plays ice hockey, and sometimes I see my cousin playing. I'm like, please teach me how to do that.
Right.
But you don't always have the time.
Exactly, and hockey. If you're committed to hockey, that there's some crazy hours that go into ice hockey, especially trying to secure that ice time. I mean, there's people playing at 3, 4 in the morning, or 10, 11, 12 at night. So there is some serious commitment there.
Yeah, my cousin built like a whole goal in his bedroom. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Sick.
There was one sport also that we haven't talked about, but was really, really big in my childhood, and it wasn't necessarily an organized sport, but wiffle ball. I mean, I was a big, like I said, loved baseball, but I probably played more wiffle ball in my life than any other sport combined, just with the pickup games that we used to play growing up, and funny enough, still play.
So this is our final question.
Sure.
For you. If you could be a fictional character, what would it be?
Fictional character. I think one of my favorite fictional characters has to be Indiana Jones. Has to be Indiana Jones. He's tough. He's smart. He goes on the best adventures and always has like great endings to the stories. So he's one that I've loved from when I was a young kid. Love watching Indiana Jones movies. Even some of the newer ones that came out are a little cheesy, but they're still great. It still has a great story. Still stays true to his who the character is, and certainly one that I grew up aspiring, looking to, and just love watching some of those movies, and still to this day too. So Indiana Jones, definitely.
Well, Dr. Zahn, thank you for being here with us on our first podcast. It was a pleasure having you here, and it was great asking you some questions. So you'll see Dr. Zahn in the halls every so often, so say hi.
Definitely, and just want to give a big shout out to all the Mariner athletes out there, and looking forward to a big winter season. Go Mariners, and thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you, Dr. Zahn, for being on our podcast. All teams are off to a great start.
Boys and girls track teams have some personal bests and winners in races.
The wrestling team did well at the Spring Gardner Tournament in East Hampton, with 6 placer winners and 2 finalists.
And our boys and girls basketball teams have both won home games and look to keep that momentum going.
Remember, we have the Mariner Holiday Basketball Tournament over the break the first weekend. Follow us on the Instagram at Southampton Athletics 11968 to get more schedules and updates for over the break and into January.
Next month, we plan on having some captains from the winter sports. Remember to like and subscribe to be ready for that.
And remember, ride the tide!